Hello everyone. So my topic is all about culture, the meaning, characteristic, and the function. So what is culture? Culture can be defined as all the ways of life, including arts, belief, and institution of population that are passed down from generation to generation. So culture is one of the most important thing in our person's life. Culture shapes our identity and it makes us who we are, one of a kind and unique. Having culture could be any number of factors in a person's life, such as where they were raised, their values and beliefs. It is also a social found in the human society. Characteristics of culture. First is learned behavior. Learned behavior is learned, most of it's combined one. Standing, telling jokes, criticizing the president, going to the movie, all. Yes, no one is born with an inherent understanding of their culture. They must be learned it as they grow. So, behavior is something that you are taught or have learned to do. We do learn some things from our parents, but other things such as skateboarding is we might learn by ourselves. Example, cooking, playing sports, and playing an instrument. Second is culture is abstract. Culture exists in the minds of our habits of the members of society. Culture is the shared ways of doing and thinking. It is the background of every human communication. Third is culture is a pattern of learned behavior. The definition of culture indicates that the learned behavior of people is pattern. It is the pattern in learned and shared behavior and beliefs of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. It can also be described as the complex whole of collective human beliefs with a structured stage. Culture patterns are shared beliefs, values, norms, and social practices that are stable at a time and that lead to similar behaviors across similar situations. Next is culture is the products of behavior. Cultural learnings are the products of behavior. As the person behaves, there occur changes in him. In both ways, human behavior is the result of behavior. The experience of other people are expressed on one. They have grown out of his previous behaviors. Next is culture includes attitude, values, and knowledge. So it is easy to overestimate the uniqueness of one's attitudes and ideas. So each person learns in this culture that what is good, true, and beautiful. Attitude, values, and goals are defined by the culture. Next is culture also includes material object. So it is all the aspect of social reality grounded in the objects and architecture that surrounds people. To make this object required numerous and various skills which human beings gradually build up through the ages. Next is culture is shared by the members of society. The patterns of learned behavior, the results of behavior are possessed not by one or a few persons, but usually by a large proportion. Because we share culture with other members of our groups, we are able to act in socially appropriate ways as well as predict how others will act. Number eight is culture is superorganic. Culture is sometimes called superorganic. It implies that culture is somehow superior to nature. Next is culture is pervasive. Culture is pervasive. It touches every aspect of life. The pervasiveness of culture is manifest in two ways. First, culture provides an unquestioned context in which individual action and response take place. Not only emotional action but relation actions are governed by the culture norms. Second, culture pervades social activities and institutions. It touches every aspect of life. The word pervasive means widespread, prevalent, and diffusive. Next is culture is a way of life. Culture means simply the way of life of a people, their design of living. So culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. It is broadly the beliefs, values, and norms of a society, whereas the real culture refers to the action of a society acts upon reality. Next is culture is a human product. Culture is that a force operating by itself and independent of the human actors. There is an unconscious tendency to defy culture, to endow it with life and treat it as a thing. So while human societies and cultures are not the same thing, they are connected because culture is created and transmitted to others in society. Cultures are not the product of lone individuals. They are the continuously evolving products of people interacting with each other. Culture is idealistic. Culture embodies the ideas and norms of a group and is sum total of the ideal pattern and norms of behavior of a group. It sets ideal goals before individuals which is worth attaining. In other words, culture is sum of total. Next is culture is transmitted among members of society. So the cultural ways are learned by the persons from persons. Many of them are handed down by one's elders, by parents, teachers, and others. Somewhat older generations. Other cultural behaviors are handed up to elders. Some of the transmission of culture is among contemporaries. Culture is continually changing. There is one of fundamental and inescapable attribute of culture, the fact of unending change. Some societies at sometimes change slowly and hinge in comparison to other societies seems not to be changing at all. Culture is variable. Culture varies from society to society, group to group, hence we say culture of India or England. Further, culture varies from group to group within the same society. There are subcultures within a culture. Culture is an integrated system. Culture possesses an order and system. Its various parts are integrated with each other, and many new element which is introduced is also integrated. Last, language is a chief vehicle of culture. Language pattern serves as a common bond to the members of a particular group or subculture. Although culture is transmitted in a variety of ways, language is one of the most important vehicles for perpetuating cultural patterns. There are four functions of culture. First is culture defines situations. Each culture has many subtle cues which define each situation. It reveals whether one should prepare to fight, run, laugh, or make love. For example, suppose someone approaches you with right and outstretched at waist level. Second is culture defines attitudes, values, and goals. So each person learns in each culture what is good, true, and beautiful. Attitudes, values, and goals are defined by the culture, while the individual normally learns them as unconsciously as he learns the language. Attitudes are tendencies to feel and act in certain ways. The third one is culture defines myths, legends, and the supernatural. So whether they are true is sociologically unimportant. Ghosts are real to people who believe in them and who act upon this belief. We cannot understand the behavior of any group without knowing something of the myths, legends, and supernatural beliefs they hold. Last, as we have culture provides behavior patterns. The culture functions to deeply influence, control, and direct behavior and life of the individual and of group. Culture provides patterns of acceptable behavior and belief. It is the human-made part of the environment. The total way of life of a people is the social legacy and that the individual acquires from this group. Culture can also help to determine human behaviors because culture can influence individual psychological processes, development of self, and motivation. However, individual differences should also be examined in determining people's behaviors. And that's all for my report. Thank you.